Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll discuss about Java exception handling. So what is an exception? So exception is any in a program, if there is something which is unexpected which is happening, it's known as exception. So Java has exception handling mechanism. Other programming language also have exception handling mechanism. C++ has also exception handling, Python has also, and so on. But why do we require this? So I'll give you a very quick example, and you can just correlate. This is not directly there, but you can correlate. So let's say, suppose you are using a particular website, or let's say you are using Flipkart or something, and suddenly you click on something and you get something like error 404, object not found. Then you'll have written something like line code 33 returning a null value, something like this, right? So you would have think that okay, there is some error which has occurred and I'm not able to view that particular tab or that particular operation, or that click is not meant for me, right? But this error code which comes out to you, you are very unaware about it and you don't pay much heed to that particular error. But instead of that error, if you would have got oops, this is not a valid operation, or this is not allowed, something like this, you would have got a more better insight that okay, this operation is not allowed. So this is how we handle exceptions. So instead of giving all this error or this code which the end user might not be able to understand, this is actually required by the programmer to understand, okay, this is the error which is coming on this line which I have written. But the end user is not aware about the programming, the end user is not aware about the code that the programmer has written. So there we come, and this exception handling come and rescue us. Also, let's say if it is written that okay, this is giving a null value, this is object, the object ID is this, and so on, it might give a great idea about the code which is written to the end user, and we don't want that. We don't want that how we are calling the object, how this is happening. We don't want to give it to end user. What is the number of lines of code, which line this code is giving, throwing an error, we don't want to give to the user. It will be having some security, some vulnerability issue to our application. So in that case we try to use this particular thing. So interrupts normal program execution when program occurs. So exception handling means it interrupts. So when there is an error coming out of the program, it interrupts and goes to a other specified statements which we have written in the program, decides what your program should do in the case of an error, and write flexible code that can handle adverse circumstance. So let's see this program. So we have class data loader, and we have a void function. Void means not going to return anything, and we have file path. So file, and the data type of this file is path. We had int, we have double, we had float, right? Again, we can understand it as a path. It's not required much, just focus on file. So we have a file, right? So what we are doing is we are reading the file. So read lines file means we are actually taking the file and we are reading that file. We are reading one by one lines. Let's say, is there any exception which happens in this particular block, it will directly move to the catch block. So what is a block? So this is the opening parenthesis and this is a closing parenthesis, right? So this is actually a block in a Java. So you see, this is opening, this is closing, this is opening, this is closing. So this contributes to the try block, this will contribute to the catch block. So if there is any exception which happens in the try block, it will move to catch block. Okay, so try block here is reading the file. So what can be the exception? Can you just trigger your brain and think, okay, what can be the exception happen in this particular file? So one thing can be that the file is not present at the location, right? The program is trying to fetch the file, but the file is not present at the location. Someone has deleted that particular file. This is an exception. So in that case, what will happen? It will execute the statement which is present in the catch block. So let's say I have written print file not present. So what it will do? It will likely print file not present instead of giving a long error code to the user. Let's say what can other be exception here? If we are trying to read the file is password protected. Means we don't have the access to unlock the file and read the content which is present in the file. Again, what will happen? It will throw a error, and we would have again used some of the mechanisms, say print password protected file. Again, what can be the next error which can be present in the file? So the language in which the file is written cannot be read by the compiler. The code or the words we are using something else and they are using something else, so that cannot be read or that cannot be printed. That can also be an exception. So there can be a lot of exceptions, and how we are able to handle the exception is done using try and catch block. We have all different things also. So we have try, then we have different catch block you can make. Okay, throw, then throws. So all this we'll discuss more into Java advanced course, but for now this was the overview about what is exception, how do we handle exception, why it is important to handle exception. There can be other exceptions as well. Let's say you are dividing a number by 0. This is an exception because you cannot represent infinity, or you cannot store infinity in a variable, right? Because int has only limitations, double has limitations, you cannot store infinity to it. Then other than that, you can have also something like that. You have a variable whose length is, let's say, a string, and its length, let's say we have name, right? And we are trying to access something here which is not actually present. There is no character. Again, we are trying to access that. That's an exception. We are trying to access a memory location which is not permitted by our program to access. So all this comes under exception, and it is important to handle such exceptions very precisely so that the end user, the vulnerability of the program is not there. There is a very lot of security. The end user is able to interact with the program, interact with the application much better. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the future video. Thank you for watching.